BS Sports Show. We want to hear from you, so call us on the BS line. Now, here's Billy Elvis and the BS Sports Show.
Hey, welcome back. We are happy to be with you on a Thursday night. What is the date? 26th day of February. This is the last Thursday of February. March right around the corner. You know what that means? Springtime. Well, maybe not right away. Last night at the Coliseum, tonight, both in studio. He's at Mo Radio Show on Twitter. I'm at Billy Elvis. At BS Sports The Fan is the show. And to reach us on the phone line, and one of our first topics is Ronda Rousey. Would you? The number to call is 347-324-5252. 347-324-5252. You think it's an easy answer, would you? Ronda Rousey, would you?
Yeah, I think it's an easy answer.
But there's some guys that are intimidated by chicks that have bigger muscles and are stronger and can put you in an arm bar and keep you in submission. Some dudes like that, but some dudes don't like that, man.
Yeah, but isn't that more the problem with that guy, that if he doesn't like that because he's intimidated? Because there are so many guys where the man's got to be the man, and the man's got to do the earning, and the man's got to do this. I don't care if a chick can beat me up.
Some dudes like girls that are soft. Some guys think that girls are supposed to be soft. The man's supposed to be strong. The man's supposed to be the one that kicks butt. And it sounds old school and it sounds old-fashioned, but there's still dudes like that think that way.
Right, but nobody's to say that she acts like that all the time. Who's to say that she has? I think that, UFC nowadays does pro wrestling better than pro wrestling does. I think a lot of it is an act. I don't think that's really her. All the time, I think she's probably very girly.
Again, the number to call us, 347-324-5252. That's 347-324-5252. Text line is 260-245-1898. And that's 260-245-1898. Might be simpler to remember our Twitter handles, at Mo Radio Show, at Billy Elvis, at BS Sports The Fan. We're with you every weeknight from 7 to 9. We bookend the week, Monday and Friday, by going out to Wrigley Field Bar and Grill in Georgetown North. Start the week on Mondays, to end the week, part of the original weekend starter party, which is from 6:30 to 8:30. So tomorrow, no different. We'd love to see you out there at the Ford's Best Damn Sports Bar, Wrigley Field Bar and Grill. And join us as we take the show on the road. And we're going to do our best to get out of your house as often as possible, too. Not that there's anything wrong with this wonderful studio, but it's just great being out and about. It's great being out hanging with people. It's great being where there's, 50 flat screen and HD TVs to catch all the action. A lot of positive aspects of going out.
No, I enjoy it. It's fun being out, just being with the people. People who have opinions about sports and like to share them during the break, or like to come on and tell us about them. And having the guests out, it was intimidating. I was more intimidated with Ben Smith being there, I think, than Ronda Rousey being around.
And there's no question in my mind. I look at her; she's absolutely beautiful,
right?
Gorgeous woman. But like I said, I don't know, man. I don't know that there's a lot of guys out there that would say, man, you know what? She's just too tough. She's too much. She could kick my butt, and I don't need to be in a relationship.
What does that matter? I mean, are you out starting fights with Ronda Rousey? Is that what you're concerned about? I mean,
dude, I know short dudes that for some reason, don't go out and find itty bitty short girls. They date girls that are taller than them, and they put restrictions on them. You can't wear heels, honey. Why? The guy has a masculine issue. He's short. He's got Napoleonic complex or whatever they call it. There's guys out there, right or wrong. I'm not going to criticize a short guy for not wanting to be short. The grass is always greener. Tall guys want to be shorter. Short guys want to be taller.
No, I've never wanted to be short.
Never?
No. For what?
Yeah, but you're not tall. You're right in the middle.
Compared to what?
You're average Joe. You're like one of the guys in dodgeball. You're average Joe.
I would highly disagree with that. I'm willing to bet that my height is over the. What do you think the average height in America is?
About 5'11".
All right. Well,
about 5'11", 6 foot.
I'm almost 6'2". So.
Are you really?
Yeah.
You seem so small and slight.
Well, I appreciate that. But
I don't know why. You just come across to me as average Joe.
I come across to you as a wuss, is what you're saying.
Let's get back to my point. You're not 6'11".
Right, but all I'm saying is, isn't the problem with you then? If you had a problem with dating Ronda Rousey because she could beat you up, isn't the problem with you?
No, dude, I'm cool with that. I saw 50 Shades of Grey. I'd be the submissive. Beat me, Ronda. Bring it. Well, we're trying to keep this family-oriented to a certain degree. But you get my point.
Right.
I'm saying there's guys out there. No, I'm not speaking for me. All right, let's put it this way. The answer for you is obviously hell yes.
Yeah, I mean,
on would you with Ronda Rousey?
She's a hot chick. She's famous.
You think it's cool that she's strong and can whoop your butt and get you in an arm bar and keep you in submission?
When I think about her, I don't think about that. That doesn't come into my mind at all. One time.
It doesn't come into your mind that there might be just a little bit too much testosterone in that female's system. Same thing with Layla Ali. She looked a little bit too much like her dad. She was pretty, but she was taller than you, dude.
She had more masculine features, though.
Yeah.
Ronda Rousey doesn't. She looks like a girl inside and out. And so it just means that she's right all the time. I mean, how many times do guys agree or lie to girls just to get some? I mean, this is nothing new.
Yeah, you're right.
It's just that she's stronger. When I think about Ronda Rousey, not one time, other than if I'm watching her fight, do I think about her beating me up.
All right. We'd love to hear your thoughts on that. Get us in a myriad of different ways. Of course, on the Twitterverse, at Billy Elvis, at BS Sports The Fan, at Mo Radio Show. Take your pick on any of those three. You can text us. We got to get easier phone numbers. But in the meantime, write this down, put it in your phone. The phone line is 347-324-5252. 347-324-5252. Text line 260-245-1898. That's 245-1898. From the 260 with a text.
Let's see. Mark thinks that Billy Elvis has a self-confidence problem.
No, not at all. Not at all, because I would date her in a heartbeat. I mean, if I didn't have a beautiful woman I'm already dating. You know what I'm saying. This is hypothetical. This is all hypothetical. But hypothetically, if I'm available and Ronda Rousey's interested, I'm not intimidated by her. I'm just saying some guys are.
Right, and I think that's where it gets more it's the guy's problem. I don't have a problem with the woman making more money. I don't have a problem with the woman being strong or telling me what to do, because that happens anyways.
Who's she fighting Saturday night? Because that's not a bad-looking girl either.
No. Have you noticed, though, that there's not really any beastly-looking UFC fighter girls? They're all pretty hot.
I think they're doing a good job of weeding them out, and this sounds sexist as hell, but it's true. I mean, it's true for guys, too. They try to find the pretty people to put on the reality shows and on any type of TV show, and there's no stranger that Danica Patrick's very, very cute as to why NASCAR.
Now, you talk about a girl that I wouldn't date. There's one right there.
Really?
At the top of my list.
That's because of her attitude, right?
I hate Danica Patrick.
She's got a bad attitude.
What did it for me, and I looked back on a couple of years ago at the picture that I posted on Twitter, when Jimmy Johnson won the Daytona just 2 years ago.
Right.
The headline on ESPN was Jimmy Johnson wins Daytona 500. The bigger headline attached to it was Danica Patrick finishes 8th. And I had an issue with it ever since. Ronda Rousey over the weekend is fighting Kat Zingano.
Yeah.
And they had a big stare down talking some trash today at the media day.
Yeah. How long does Zingano last?
I don't think she makes it around.
And we say this just because of the dominant performance that Ronda Rousey's capable of. Who knows? Maybe she'll meet her match this week, but I doubt it. She hasn't met her match yet.
How long till it gets to the point where UFC wants to take the chance for her to start fighting men?
Men are not going to do it. You're not going to do it. I'm not going to do it.
I'd do it.
Are you
kidding me?
You have nothing to gain. If you win, you've beaten a girl. If you lose, you lost to a girl.
And the problem with that is?
It's a no-win situation. It's just the same reason why the Super Bowl champion Patriots aren't going to take on the Alabama Crimson Tide, because if they beat the Crimson Tide, they were supposed to. If they lose to Alabama, they'll never live. It'd be horrible PR. You don't step down. And I'm not talking down to women, but come on. Athletic-wise, strength-wise, you don't have anything to gain if you're a guy fighting Ronda Rousey.
I agree with you, but you don't think at some point some guy's not going to want a payday? And let's be honest, there can be a little bit of argument here, but I think Ronda Rousey's the highest draw that UFC has right now.
So throwing Andy Kaufman out there. I mean, the only reason I'm saying that is just throw a schlep in the ring with her. Any schlep that says, sure, I'll let Ronda Rousey beat me up.
There's not going to be a guy like Frank Mir or Ken Shamrock who's trying to get another payday because they need it?
Yeah, I mean, there might be that dude. And she is star power. But is it a star power? I guess if you're the first dude to fight Ronda, it's going to be
right.
It's like Billie Jean King and Bobby Riggs 40 years ago in the Battle of the Sexes.
Right.
And that's how there's a situation right there. Bobby Riggs had nothing to gain. If he beats the girl, so what? The dude was supposed to beat the girl. It became a story because the girl beat the dude, and he was 100,
and you don't think
or at least 40 years older than him, or whatever the case was.
And do you think that was fixed?
No, I think it was the real deal. I don't think it was fixed.
I think I'm getting to the point where I believe the UFC's fixed like pro wrestling at times, because you've got guys who they try to make you disposed to hate. They've got guys they try to make you they build up to like. You don't hear a bad thing about them, and then the result that UFC wanted was for John Jones to win. The result for UFC, they wanted Ronda Rousey to win. I'm starting to think it's fixed.
It could be. I wouldn't be surprised to find out. The morning news with Robin Meade is fixed, which
who cares?
In some ways it is. It doesn't matter. When we find that out, then obviously people are going to say I'm not surprised. And if we find out that, or if we never find out, which we probably never will find out if it's fixed or not, who knows? Maybe it is wrestling. But if we never find out, so what? Let's get back to how hot Ronda Rousey is, and if you're intimidated by her strength and her fighting ability.
I don't get it. I don't get even the argument for that. Because at the end of the day, who doesn't want to date a hot girl who's a celebrity? Whether she can beat you up or not. I mean, are you telling me that you'd rather take the mess of this Kim Kardashian over Ronda Rousey just because she can kick your ass?
I think it would be tougher than you think, dude. I think it would be tougher than you think to be Ronda Rousey's dude.
Not one issue with it.
There's probably a whole bunch of cool stuff involved, A-list treatment at bars and restaurants and things and events. But, man, you're going to be perceived as Ronda Rousey's bitch.
So?
No matter who you are.
So?
If you can deal with that, great.
At the end of the day, when all these guys are talking all this smack, at the end of the day, who's going home with her? Me. So let's say Ronda gets all worked up one night and beats me up at the house. When it makes TMZ, who are they going to pay for the story? Me.
How are you going to feel about yourself with a black eye from your woman? Explaining that you're a kept man because Ronda Rousey won't let you leave.
It's better than just the police report I get if my woman now beats me up. I mean, at least then I make some cash. I mean, I really can't understand that side of the argument. I don't understand the issue. That's all I'm saying. I don't get it, because at the end of the day, who's going home and laying in bed with her? Me.
Yeah. I mean, there's definitely positives. I would let
Ronda Rousey kick my ass to go home with her. I'd let her do it first.
You're not the average individual, Mo. You're really not the average individual.
If you were looking at the pictures I'm looking at right now.
I've seen her. I've Googled her. I've stalked her.
You know what? I've got the ESPN, the body issue downstairs where she's naked on the cover.
Right.
But just with the taped wrist over.
Yeah, no, I like that. I found that one.
Yeah, I wouldn't have a problem. You wouldn't get in the ring with her first? You wouldn't take a beating just to go home with her?
Man, I probably would.
One punch and I'm out. Then who gets the rest of it? And then the next 30 seconds is all my pleasure.
It's like it would just be a never-ending, when you're out with her, dude saying to you, "Hey, do you pee sitting down, and does Ronda pee standing up, and all that?"
That's
crap.
what I'm saying. So the issue then is with you.
I'm just saying the stuff you'd have to endure.
Okay, but then the issue would be with you. Now it's not Ronda's fault.
You're right.
It's your issue.
That's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about, can you deal with that?
Yes.
You can deal with being the butt of every joke possible.
And if you can't, then who's the problem? You.
Well, of course.
You know what? I would be Stedman in a heartbeat to be with Oprah, because that guy's got it easy. Granted, all right. So every late night talk show makes jokes about him, but without that, do you know the name Stedman Graham? Hell no.
Would you be a kept man? Would you be
in a heartbeat?
Would you be one of those dudes that the old lady wants to keep you around and dresses you, and you're her arm candy for social occasions, and you'd be all right with that? You could deal with the self-esteem of just being somebody's whatever. While
I'm laughing at everybody else that they're working when I go out to eat or when I go shopping or pump my gas. Hell yes, I could. Are you kidding me? What's wrong with that? Where's the self-esteem at? I still can't do the things I want to do. It's not like I'm with this girl 24 hours a day. Would you cheat on Ronda Rousey? It'd keep me faithful, that's for sure.
I would say in both scenarios, the kept man by the old broad at the country club or Ronda Rousey's woman. Either way, it would run out. You would get tired of it. You would move on.
Not one time.
You don't think?
Not one time. Now, a wise man once told me this, that show me any hot girl, I'll show you a guy who's tired of sleeping with her.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I believe that's true. But look at this picture right here. There's Ronda Rousey butt naked.
Oh, yeah.
With nothing but tape on her wrist.
I see that.
You'd have a problem? You couldn't put up with the jokes for that? I could.
I probably could too.
I think it's the guy's issue. I'm okay. I'm comfortable with who I am.
Is it very different than the dude that dates the girl that works at the strip club, but he's there watching her, and any guy that tucks $1, he's staring him down, and in other words, he's the jealous guy, but he's dating the stripper?
Well, that's the one thing. If you're dating a stripper, that I learned early on, you don't go to the club when she's working.
You don't watch her do her thing.
You pick her up and try to pretend that you're picking her up from church. That's what you do. Try to remember that I'm picking you up from church.
Take off the 12-inch heels and put some pants on, and I'll pick you up at 9.
Well, I mean, let's be honest. As men, there's a lot of times that we have to swallow our pride to be with just normal, regular girls. This, I'm just doing it on a grander stage. Who cares? Who cares? You think that all my friends at that point at home aren't going, she's banging Ronda Rousey.
Or is she banging you?
Either
way
way.
around.
Either way.
She's in control.
Dude,
you've lost control. She's the one in charge.
I have a friend that it bothers him. And he's married, been married for a while. This guy, it bothers him when gay guys don't think he's good looking.
I find it flattering when gay guys tell me I'm good looking.
I do too. I don't have an issue with it. I mean, I have friends. Oh man, I never let.
I'm not homophobic.
I'm not either. Hey, all right. It would bother me if a gay guy did tell me I was good. It would hurt me a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm a chubby dude. I understand.
Probably. All right. Well, let's see if we got someone on the line that wants to talk to us about this topic. You're on the BS Sports Show. Who's this?
This is Uncle Jer.
Uncle Jer, how you doing, buddy?
Pretty good.
Would you put up with Ronda Rousey being the butt of jokes to date Ronda Rousey?
Well, I've been putting up with nose jokes for probably 2 or 3 years, so yeah, I could probably put up with it.
What do you mean you've been putting up with jokes for 2-3 years?
From no.
What was that?
I've been putting up with nose jokes for 2 or 3 years.
I got you. I thought you meant you were putting up with some sort of your own issue, like a Ronda Rousey or an old lady keeping you as her man at the country clubhouse.
Is that still a thing, though? I mean,
I don't know. Probably
being a kept man, is that still a word?
You don't think an old lady that has a ton of money and she's a widow and she doesn't get attracted by a young hot dude and she can dazzle him with her cash and her big house and Porsche? Yeah, that still happens.
I've never been young hot dude, so
it hasn't happened to us.
Well, I know. Well, you're past that, I think, aren't you? I'm about past that.
Yeah, I don't get to be called a young dude by too many people. Maybe old, maybe some really old ladies.
I don't know.
Yeah, I'm a little past the young dude mark myself.
As if any of us would have a chance with Ronda Rousey, for that matter. But nevertheless, just a speculative conversation.
It worries me what you do during the day. This is what you've been thinking about.
I thought about it all day. I spent like 2 hours researching photos of Ronda Rousey that there isn't a photo you can find that I haven't seen.
Is that how you get around it at home? You're like, I'm doing research.
Yes, precisely. It's research. Yes, she's got a big fight coming up, and I'm finding out all I can about Ronda Rousey.
I'm beginning to think that maybe some of the issues though are with you. I think that the idea of being a kept man bothers you.
It might. I think I've got some self-esteem, just a little bit, not a lot, but I got a little bit of self-esteem, and I want to be my own man. I want to carve my own path.
But who's to say that she's going to be like that?
I don't know. I would say she would want to call a lot of the shots if she's giving you a Porsche, letting her stay at her house.
And who's to say that you can't take her? She's beating up girls right now.
Yeah. I don't know. It just, believe it or not, there's probably some dudes, I'm one of them, that just doesn't want to be some sort of concubine prostitute.
I think that the issue is with you. I think we need to get you some help.
You think I need help?
I do.
Because I have self-esteem?
No, I think you need help because you don't even know that this girl would be like that, but the fact that she fights for a living bothers you.
Let's now Mo's turning into my psychologist here. It's at Mo Radio Show on Twitter, at Billy Elvis, at BS Sports The Fan. We're going to get a break in. We'll continue this conversation next. Ronda Rousey, the question, would you? It's the BS Sports Show.
Okay, so what do you have?
Ryan, what do you think?
Lollygag, it ain't for leaders. They're too busy making plays happen, answering the call, earning their big boy pants. Isn't it time to be the leader you were born to be? The playbook's right there, Captain. What's the call?
We'll have nachos, fried pickles, pretzels, buffalitos, honey barbecue wings, and waters all around.
Grab a seat. The game is on.
Buffalo Wild Wings. Wings, beer, sports.
Ugh, I hate these big-ass prices.
Sounds like you could use some big-ass savings.
I'd love some big-ass savings.
Kmart Shop Your Way members save 30 cents a gallon.
30 cents a gallon? That's a big-ass discount.
Big-ass discount.
A really big-ass discount.
Really big-ass discount.
Honey, this solves your big-ass problem.
Totally solves my big-ass problem.
Dad, look at that big-ass truck.
And big-ass man.
Hello, big-ass man.
Shop Your Way members get big-ass savings. Save 30 cents a gallon when you spend $50 or more at Kmart.
Meet the fuel-efficient Ford Focus. Along with great handling, the Focus also comes with Girls Night Out and Girls Night In and road trips and the scenic route and swimming and weekly car washes and making connections and unexpected speed dating. Only Ford gives you EcoBoost fuel economy and a whole lot more. With so many ands, where will you end up? The fuel-efficient Ford Focus.
This is Gary Snyder from The Gary Snyder Show, and I have a couple of important questions for you. Do you need some extra cash, and do you have any scrap metal laying around? If you answered yes to either question, which we know you did after all, this is Indiana, then you need to give Clark's a call today, 260-356-8314. That's 260-356-8314. Clark's wants all of your scrap metal, broken down appliances, old cars, computer parts, copper, aluminum, and even your old cell phones. If it's scrap and if it's metal, Clark's wants it, and they will pay top dollar for it. Clark's is located at 100 Heightsfield Street in Huntington, and they are open weekdays from 8 to 4:30 p.m. Or just give them a ring, 260-356-8314. That's 260-356-8314. Clark's, they want all of your scrap metal.
Chapman's Brewing Company is Northeast Indiana's newest microbrewery. Located in Angola, Indiana, Chapman's is what it means to be local. Chapman's recently launched their American Ale Cider that is a unique combination of malted barley, Cascade hops, and fresh apple juice that appeals to both beer drinkers and cider lovers alike. It is truly more than a beer and more than a cider. 3 sips and you'll understand why we love it too. Visit chapmansbrewing.com for a retailer nearest you.
It's the BS Sports Show.
It gives crappy people a chance to sort themselves out.
And welcome back. I'm at Billy Elvis. He's at Mo Radio Show. At BS Sports, the fan is the show. Love your input on our topics, starting right out of the gate with Ronda Rousey. Is she hot? Is she not? Is she intimidating? Is she not? How do you feel about Ronda Rousey? That'll be the topic throughout the course of a lot of this show. Of course, we've got guests. We're going to talk Notre Dame sports with Todd Burlage, blue and gold reporter up in South Bend. Insider with the Irish at about 7:45. Good friend of the BS Sports Show, Todd Burlage, at Todd Burlage on Twitter. 8:15, it's Reggie Hayes of the News Sentinel. Covers the Mad Ants, and he was down at the NFL Combine as well, so we'll get a Combine wrap from Reggie, as well as some thoughts about the Mad Ants and Will Sheehy's disappearance, if you will. Kind of interesting. We'll see what Reggie knows about that at Reggie Hayes 1 on Twitter. Talking about the Ronda Rousey thing, we got Nas on the line right now. Nas, how you doing tonight, man?
Doing well, man. How you doing?
Good. What's on your mind, buddy?
Well, I guess if you're going Rousey, I guess no matter what, I'm not interested. I don't think many men are interested. But you got to respect her skill and respect her ability to do what she does as far as being a fighter. But as far as outside of that, no, I don't want no parts of that, man.
Yeah. So you see her as a fighter, not a woman, right?
I mean, it's not personal, and it's not something that I planned on doing. It's just kind of how it played out. Like I see her out there as a great fighter, and she's good at what she does. But as far as just looking at her in that other perspective, man, it just ain't there.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I knew there'd be I knew there'd be guys that shared that thought.
Is there a woman in sports then that you would look at if it's not Ronda Rousey?
Serena, I guess.
Serena.
I guess I could
there
say
you go.
Serena.
See, now, Serena scared the crap out of me.
Yeah, but I'll tell you what. I'll give you my thoughts on the Serena thing. I'll throw it out there as tennis players and the LPGA golfers. They're not intimidating. They're not like ripped more than most guys are ripped.
I don't know.
They still look like girls.
Serena's pretty ripped.
Yeah, she's pretty ripped, but she still looks like a girl.
Yeah, but she's ripped in the right ways though. And Sharapova's up there, and what was the one?
Anna Kournikova. Yeah. Yeah, hey,
it was a golfer. It was a golfer. I think Big Ben was with for a while. That was not bad
Natalie
at all.
Gublius.
Natalie Galbis.
There we go.
She's going to be in Fort Wayne, by the way, at the Northeast Indiana Golf Show on March 14th and 15th. Up close and personal, giving some golf tutelage. I'm going to be there for that, that's for sure. Hey, Nas,
man, shoot your shot, man. You never know. Shoot your shot, brother.
Thanks for chiming in on the show, Nas. Appreciate it.
She's a pretty smoking too.
That's the thing. I'm more attracted to some of the LPGA golfers, a lot of the LPGA golfers, a lot of the tennis players.
It's changed up for
beach
golfers.
volleyball.
Let's be honest, because 10 years ago, wasn't there a big, a lot of guys looked at LPGA golfers and assumed lesbian. I mean, let's be honest. Let's call a spade a spade. Now they've injected a lot more femininity maybe into golf, because it was a lot of older, rougher looking, and a lot of foreign looking women in golf and LPGA, and there wasn't a beauty there that guys went, oh.
Here's the thing, ladies. I don't care what you do. If you wanna dye your hair blue and red and you look like a parrot, fine. Whatever suits you, whatever you dig. If you want to get ripped, if you want to have six-pack abs, and you want to have bigger biceps than most average dudes, go for it. But to me, it takes away femininity, having that kind of massive muscular build.
See, there's nothing about Ronda Rousey that doesn't look feminine right now. Not a thing.
No, you're right, because she's not like a bodybuilder kind of chick. She's not completely and utterly just muscle on top of muscles, ripped like a guy ripped.
Now, what if we're talking about former WWE Women's Champion Chyna? Now, she was a bodybuilder. She would scare me, and she wasn't very feminine looking. Vince McMahon spent a bunch of money on plastic surgery to make her more feminine, but that one would scare me some.
Yeah, that would scare me too.
Ronda Rousey, though, I don't see the. I think this is more about you getting your issue out of it bothers you that a woman could be stronger than you.
No, I like the way Nas put it. Who just called in, and you can call us on the show as well. Phone number 347-324-5252. That's 347-324-5252. Text line open as well. That's a 260-245-1898. 245-1898 from the 260 via text.
2 now for Danica Patrick. Danica Patrick is hot. I've gotten that a couple times now.
Yeah?
I think it's the attitude. Because it's not even about I don't care that she races cars or is a better driver than me, because wouldn't that same theory bother those men, that she's a better driver?
You know what Danica reminds me of? She's a chihuahua. There's nothing cute. Well, they may be cute, but they got a bark that's worse than their cuteness. She's like a chihuahua of the female athlete world.
I feel like that if you saw her in the morning, it would be quite a different picture than what you see even out in the race car. I don't think that I don't feel like she's a good person. I guess that's what bothers me. Maybe it's my issue. I don't know. I don't feel like I feel like she's just. I would hate her.
Yeah.
I feel like I would hate her. Now, would that same issue though bother these men that you speak of? If Ronda Rousey could kick your ass and that bothers you, is the fact that Danica Patrick's probably a better driver than you, can drive faster cars and does what she does. Would that be an issue with you?
No, I can outdrive her. I can outdrive her right now. Most people can outdrive her. I love what King Richard said. Hey, Danica wins a NASCAR race when she's the only person on the track.
Well, that's true. But I'm saying, though, but with her job, it's a pretty macho job.
Yeah.
That wouldn't bother you if you just talk about it, and she goes 200 miles an hour.
Yeah, I don't know. It might be somewhat intimidating, but I've told you all along. This is a question posed to those that may be listening. I'm not talking about my personal tastes. I'm asking: are you intimidated by Ronda Rousey? Are you intimidated by a Danica Patrick, a woman of power, so to speak? Bill Clinton made a nice transition from being the head man in charge of the free world to being Mr. Hillary or whatever we called him. He made the nice, I'll just go in the background and let the woman call the shots kind of guy. Of course, that guy's Teflon. He turned an impeachment into superhero status as the president of the free world.
Right, and I think he likes the fact that she's in Washington and he can do what he's doing in New York.
She's busy.
A text here. What about Ashley Force? She was in that same issue as Ronda Rousey in the ESPN, the body issue.
Love her.
I like her a lot, too.
Love her.
It's hard not to look at her, though, and think about her dad, which is maybe my issue there as well.
Doesn't that apply to any girl, though? You got to think about their dad.
Well, her dad being
dominant in the NHRA world.
Yeah, but she's definitely pretty.
Yeah.
She's got another sister as well. That's,
I know.
There's
There's several Force girls, yes. Well, here, we're going to take a break. We'll keep the topic going. Please, by all means, chime in via Twitter, via text, via call. We'll give out the numbers again in a couple seconds, giving you time to grab a pen or to punch it in your phone. So stick around. Also want to remind you, busy weekend. We've got the weekend starter party at Wrigley Field tomorrow night and every Friday. Fort's Best Damn Sports Bar for 25 years. It includes mantra karaoke with Jake, probably a visit from the Derby Girls, lots of great giveaways. And we're going to do the show live there for the first time at the original weekend starter party. The BS Sports Show, 7 to 9 tomorrow night at Wrigley Field in Georgetown North. Then again, back Monday, every Friday and Monday, the BS Sports Show live at Wrigley Field. I tell you what I got going on Saturday. You and I are both hooking up with our buddy Cobra Rhodes over at the World Arm Wrestling League at Break and Run Saturday at 2. But then I got to go to an event called Project Runway with the Allen County SPCA. Cool fundraiser for their Angel Fund, which helps animals that come in that need surgeries and you know they've been mistreated or whatever. The Angel Fund's pretty cool for pet lovers. All right, it's a very cool thing that the Allen County SPCA does. So that's what this fundraiser's for. But the Project Runway, first of its kind in Allen County. It's a beauty contest of sorts for 19 different canine and about 15 different groomers. So they're going to make up these animals. It's going to be a cool fundraising event. Starts at 6 at Cerruti's adjacent to Lucky Harley Davidson Saturday. And I'm out there with Krista Miller from NBC 33 as the co-MCs. There's some comets out there. There's some celebrity judges out there. There's even a real judge out there, Judge Fran Gull from Fort Wayne is out
scary.
there. You got to have a judge, amongst the judges.
She's definitely a judge. Make sure you're not doing, 2 to 5 by the time you leave there.
So just an idea of what's going on this coming weekend. Bookended, of course, by Wrigley Field Friday and Monday. Getting a break in. Stick around. More coming up on this Thursday edition of the BS Sports Show.
Okay, so what do you have?
Ryan, what do you think?
Lollygagging ain't for leaders. They're too busy making plays happen, answering the call, earning their big boy pants. Isn't it time to be the leader you were born to be? The playbook's right there, Captain. What's the call?
We'll have nachos, fried pickles, pretzels, buffalitos, honey barbecue wings, and waters all around.
Grab a seat. The game is on.
Buffalo Wild Wings. Wings, beer, sports.
Ugh, I hate these big-ass prices.
Sounds like you could use some big-ass savings.
I'd love some big-ass savings.
Kmart Shop Your Way members save 30 cents a gallon.
30 cents a gallon? That's a big-ass discount.
Big-ass discount.
A really big-ass discount.
Really big-ass discount.
Honey, this solves your big-ass problem.
Totally solves my big-ass problem.
Dad, look at that big-ass truck.
Big-ass man.
Hello, big-ass man.
Shop Your Way members get big-ass savings. Save 30 cents a gallon when you spend $50 or more at Kmart.
Meet the fuel-efficient Ford Focus. Along with great handling, the Focus also comes with Girls Night Out and Girls Night In and road trips and the scenic route and swimming and weekly car washes and making connections and unexpected speed dating. Only Ford gives you EcoBoost fuel economy and a whole lot more. With so many ands, where will you end up? The fuel-efficient Ford Focus.
This is Gary Snyder from The Gary Snyder Show, and I have a couple of important questions for you. Do you need some extra cash, and do you have any scrap metal laying around? If you answered yes to either question, which we know you did after all, this is Indiana, then you need to give Clark's a call today, 260-356-8314. That's 260-356-8314. Clark's wants all of your scrap metal, broken down appliances, old cars, computer parts, copper, aluminum, and even your old cell phones. If it's scrap and if it's metal, Clark's wants it, and they will pay top dollar for it. Clark's is located at 100 Heightsfield Street in Huntington, and they are open weekdays from 8 to 4:30 p.m. Or just give them a ring, 260-356-8314. That's 260-356-8314. Clark's, they want all of your scrap metal.
Chapman's Brewing Company is Northeast Indiana's newest microbrewery. Located in Angola, Indiana, Chapman's is what it means to be local. Chapman's recently launched their American Ale cider that is a unique combination of malted barley, Cascade hops, and fresh apple juice that appeals to both beer drinkers and cider lovers alike. It is truly more than a beer and more than a cider. 3 sips and you'll understand why we love it too. Visit chapmansbrewing.com for a retailer nearest you.
This is a bad show. They worked really hard, and it didn't make it good. It's the BS Sports Show.
Wow, you're still with us. You deserve some sort of medal. Thank you. Much appreciated. I'm at Billy Elvis on Twitter. He's at Mo Radio Show at BS Sports The Fan. Phone numbers to either call us are 347-324-5252, 347-324-5252. You can text us 260-245-1898. That's 260-245-1898. We want to thank IndianaTalks.com for putting us on from 7 to 8, squeezing us into their talk lineup from 7 to 8. And you can catch us from 7 to 9 at thebsportshow.com. Links can be found there. Your preference and links can be found at thebsportshow.com. Love to hear about it. Love to hear from you with regard to the topic on Ronda Rousey. Listen, you want to give Ronda Rousey a little bit of a rest for a moment.
You mean talking about some actual sports?
Yeah,
it's crazy.
We could talk about a little. I figured this is the best way to talk about UFC. I love it. I'm not all in on it. I know she's the dominant female. I know Anderson Silva keeps flunking drug tests after having his legs snapped. And I don't know enough about UFC, and I'm not afraid to admit that.
And it's hard to really analyze it. I mean, there's not a, there's only so much you can talk about Pacquiao Mayweather. There's only so much you can talk about UFC before you really just got to see the fight and talk about it the day after. It's more of a day after type of event.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Go over how it all went down. Go over the dominant performances. What do? You sit here and predict what's going to happen. How do you do that? You don't. You can, but to me, it's like I watch it. I think part of the problem with boxing is going to be the part of the problem with UFC, and that's this pay-per-view thing that they do. It's just I'm glad you'll find UFC on non-pay TV on weekend nights. That's cool, but still, the big events having to shell out big bucks for this. I think that's going to end up leading to its demise. Anytime any sport gets greedy, you'll see a demise.
Well, you saw it happen with boxing. People would plunk out a ton of money back in the day for Tyson, and then he fights for a minute and a half or 3 minutes, and then you're like, all right, wait a minute. Not that the undercards weren't good, but then you have to wait to see that main event. But today was a big day in the NFL for running backs. Steven Jackson has just been released by the Atlanta Falcons, 11-year vet, teetering right there on that line of whether he could be a Hall of Famer or not with his stats.
Yeah.
And then obviously Adrian Peterson now being reinstated by the judge in the NFL. Teams won't have to wait to try to make a play for Adrian Peterson if the Vikings do cut him loose or are willing to trade him.
It's starting to appear as if the reports that he's not going to be in Minnesota next year were a bit exaggerated. He may still end up in Minnesota next year.
Well, I don't think anybody can pay him what Minnesota is willing to pay him. If he resigns somewhere else, somebody's going to give him $15 million a year,
right,
which is what he'll make this year playing in Minnesota. But
he can refuse to play. He can say, I don't want to play in this city anymore when they didn't back me.
Right, but then they could suspend him and not pay him.
Right.
Last year being on the commission list, he got to get paid.
Right.
So if he gets suspended, he's not going to get paid. And let's be honest, with the numerous children he has outside of wedlock and a couple of the lawsuits, the civil suits that have popped up, and the issue with his foundation, he could be hurting for some cash.
Yeah, he could be. And there's a way that the NFL can make a statement. We saw what the Ravens did. The Ravens said, we're going to look into character a lot more than we've had in the past. In other words, learning from the Ray Rice situation.
I don't buy that for a second.
You don't buy it for a second?
No, they kept a murderer on their team for what? Another 11 years to win 2 more Super Bowls? Come on now.
Different situation.
Not at all.
Different situation.
How does that not matter?
Well, I'm just telling you, it's a different situation because they're not under scrutiny for this anymore. The Ray Lewis thing has fallen off the radar.
Because enough people are like, oh, Ray Lewis is great. It's a great story. But look back. Do you think that family cares then?
Look at it this way. Look at it from the Ravens' perspective. It doesn't matter what they truly believe, dude. It matters how they're perceived. And it's perceived that they tried to cover up the whole Ray Rice situation until the video got seen. So what's the last thing they can do? Bring in anybody into their organization that has any type of domestic violence issues.
Well, I don't think at this point, they led the league last year in off-season arrests. They had a lot of issues last year.
But domestic violence is what they're going to focus on. Isn't it? Let's make the correlation to the war on drugs here. We all know that marijuana doesn't have the same type of effects on a human body as like heroin does or cocaine does.
Way better.
Forget the fact that both of those drugs can kill you by consuming them, cocaine and heroin. I don't know that you can die from ingestion of marijuana. I don't think so. I'm not an expert. But my point is they lump it all together because it was the popular thing to do. There was a stigma about marijuana. So it's lumped into these drugs that are much more detrimental to the human body.
Right, but wait till somebody else screws up in a different way this year, whether somebody's drinking and driving and kills somebody. Look how Aaron Hernandez's whole situation basically went away when this whole Ray Rice stuff started.
But isn't it obvious that the domestic violence issue is at the forefront and is
right now
is huge in all of sports? Look at what happened with the Bush. Which Bush was it? Kurt Busch? Kurt Busch. He's immediately banned. He's immediately losing his sponsors. That might not have been so harsh of a punishment on him if you don't have Ray Rice last year.
Well, I think part of it is his fault as well because he pushed the issue and then the judge found that there was probable cause that he needed to stand trial.
Right.
So had he left it alone, maybe it doesn't go that far. Maybe he's not suspended. But you're right. It's the hot button right now. But a year and a half ago, what did we talk about nonstop? Aaron Hernandez. And how the Patriots messed up, and how they should have known this and should have known that.
At least the Patriots immediately washed their hands.
They had to.
Immediately. Yeah, but I mean, not the Ravens didn't even do that. They kind of.
Ray Rice didn't kill anybody.
No, but he did something that was viewed as a major crime, and is a major crime, and they knew about it. And it took the video to come out for them to get harsh with Ray Rice. It took a backlash for them to get harsh with Ray Rice.
If you remember, it took the same with the Patriots. They didn't. As soon as there was an investigation, the Patriots didn't cut him. It wasn't until he was arrested and charged with murder. Because when it was just that they thought he was going to be an accessory, he wasn't cut. When he was charged with murder, then he was cut.
Right.
The Patriots were going to do everything they could. If Aaron Hernandez was coming out of jail to play, he was going to play for the New England Patriots. Let's be honest. There was a lot of indications that they overlooked in order to make Aaron Hernandez a Patriot. They just signed him to a huge deal after they knew he had issues in the background, stemming as far back as high school and college. It's a very hypocritical league. The NFL is a reactive league. They're going to react to when it's bad publicity. Until then, they're going to do everything they can to win football games.
Oh yeah, no, there's no question about that. I'm just. This all stems from us bringing up the conversation with Adrian Peterson and what the Vikings had to do, and the Vikings not standing by him and supporting him throughout everything, and just. He feels like he was slighted by the organization he gave so much to.
And there's the big problem right there is he feels like he's a victim. Never once has he apologized.
Yeah.
Never once has he apologized to Vikings fans, to the organization for what he put him through. He feels like he's the victim. And that shouldn't be the case. The Vikings had to do what they had to do. Nike dropped him, for God's sake.
Yeah.
Nike dropped him. The hotel chain up there, Radisson, was going to dump the Vikings. They went ahead and dumped them. They did what they had to do. It's a business at the end of the day, right? I mean, that's what they're worried about is making money. But Adrian Peterson, the fact that he's playing the victim in all this, it pisses me off every day. Now, if you notice today, Greg Hardy from the Carolina Panthers, who's already actually been convicted by a judge in North Carolina. They have the weird laws where he's got to go back to a jury trial or what have you. But he's now applied for immediate
reinstatement.
Yes.
Yeah.
I guess I would be okay. It would be easier for me to swallow the Adrian Peterson thing. Quit playing the victim in this whole thing. I mean, he got paid the whole year.
More on this topic in hour number 2.
I'm going to be fired up today.
Every weeknight from 7 to 9, it's the BS Sports Show. We go from a topic like Ronda Rousey and would ya to very, very serious subjects such as child abuse and domestic violence. That's just the way the show rolls, I guess. Stick around. We're going to get a break in. Up next, it's all about the Fighting Irish of Notre Dame with our guest at Todd Burlage on the BS Sports Show. Thank you very much for tuning in. He's at Mo Radio Show, Mo Time. I'm at Billy Elvis. It's the BS Sports Show.
Okay, so what do you have?
Ryan, what do you think?
Lollygag, it ain't for leaders. They're too busy making plays happen, answering the call, earning their big boy pants. Isn't it time to be the leader you were born to be? The playbook's right there, Captain. What's the call?
We'll have nachos, fried pickles, pretzels, buffalitos, honey barbecue wings, and waters all around.
Grab a seat. The game is on.
Buffalo Wild Wings. Wings, beer, sports.
Ugh, I hate these big-ass prices.
Sounds like you could use some big-ass savings.
I'd love some big-ass savings.
Kmart Shop Your Way members save 30 cents a gallon.
30 cents a gallon? That's a big-ass discount.
Big-ass discount.
A really big-ass discount.
Really big-ass discount.
Honey, this solves your big-ass problem.
Totally solves my big-ass problem.
Dad, look at that big-ass truck.
And big-ass man.
Hello, big-ass man.
Shop Your Way members get big-ass savings. Save 30 cents a gallon when you spend $50 or more at Kmart.
Meet the fuel-efficient Ford Focus. Along with great handling, the Focus also comes with Girls Night Out and Girls Night In and road trips and the scenic route and swimming and weekly car washes and making connections and unexpected speed dating. Only Ford gives you EcoBoost fuel economy and a whole lot more. With so many ands, where will you end up? The fuel-efficient Ford Focus.
This is Gary Snyder from The Gary Snyder Show, and I have a couple of important questions for you. Do you need some extra cash, and do you have any scrap metal laying around? If you answered yes to either question, which we know you did after all, this is Indiana, then you need to give Clark's a call today, 260-356-8314. That's 260-356-8314. Clark's wants all of your scrap metal, broken down appliances, old cars, computer parts, copper, aluminum, and even your old cell phones. If it's scrap and if it's metal, Clark's wants it, and they will pay top dollar for it. Clark's is located at 100 Heightsfield Street in Huntington, and they are open weekdays from 8 to 4:30 p.m. Or just give them a ring, 260-356-8314. That's 260-356-8314. Clark's, they want all of your scrap metal.
Chapman's Brewing Company is Northeast Indiana's newest microbrewery. Located in Angola, Indiana, Chapman's is what it means to be local. Chapman's recently launched their American Ale Cider that is a unique combination of malted barley, Cascade hops, and fresh apple juice that appeals to both beer drinkers and cider lovers alike. It is truly more than a beer and more than a cider. 3 sips and you'll understand why we love it too. Visit chapmansbrewing.com for a retailer nearest you.
They actually said that on the air, and they weren't kidding around.
It's the BS Sports Show.
Welcome back. And we're heading towards the second hour of the show. And at 8:15 in that second hour, we'll talk to News Sentinel writer Reggie Hayes, at Reggie Hayes1 on Twitter. Reggie covers the Mad Ants, covers the Colts. We'll get an NFL Combine wrap from Reg at 8:15, so stick around with us. Thanks for tuning into the BS Sports Show online now. He's Mo Time at Mo Radio Show. I'm at Billy Elvis at BS Sports The Fan. And it's time to talk about the Irish with our Irish sports reporter, Blue and Gold Report up in South Bend. The one, the only, at Todd Burlage. How you been, Burlage, buddy?
Not too bad. Congratulations on the great new show, guys. It sounds terrific, and I'm happy for you guys, and it sounds great, and I can't thank you enough for having me on.
Well, you know what? We're really, really glad that you'll be a contributor to this show, as you were in the past, because you bring great insight when it comes to the Notre Dame Fighting Irish and just about anything else we throw at you, Burlage.
I do my bestest.
Yes, you do. And just to give you a little bit of background on Mr. Burlage, columnist for the Blue and Gold Illustrated up in South Bend, contributes football stories for UND.com. So you can find Burlage's work all over the place with regard to the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. Mike Bray and the guys had to take a loss the other night. That's it's getting to that point in the season where every loss is critical, Burlage.
Yeah, you know what? This one really got me too, Billy. It really did, because I thought of all the Notre Dame teams I've seen that were equipped to handle the Syracuse zone, I thought this was the one, because the big guys, you could throw it in and they're capable of passing it out. They move the ball well, and they shoot the threes well. One of the better three-point shooting teams in the country. But, boy, it didn't happen. They were totally lost offensively and never got into any kind of rhythm. And I think the stat that says it all in that 65-60 loss to Syracuse, 3 of 22 shooting from three-point land. And, you know, and a lot of those were open looks, you know, and I don't know what to say. I always worry. I've done a couple stories along the line about how Mike Bray's teams tend to stutter, especially during the last 3 regular season games. In the last 6 years, guys, only once have they finished better than 1-2 in the last 3 regular season games. And with the next contest at Louisville coming off this one, then they close the regular season home against Clemson. You wonder if maybe it's happening again. I hope history's not repeating itself. Maybe just a hiccup in the road. But yeah, it was a flat performance and a really disappointing performance. And frankly, you know, one I thought they really needed if they wanted to stay in conversation for definitely a 3 and maybe a 2 seed in the NCAA tournament. They had their opportunity here, and they really let it slip away. It was a very uninspiring performance for the Irish.
Before we get to your philosophy on Mike Bray's teams faltering down the stretch, which we'll touch upon that momentarily. Let's go back to that Syracuse zone. You know, maybe there's the bit of the mindset, Burlage, that you know that's what they're going to do. They're going to play that zone. They're going to force you to beat them from the outside. You know this going into a game against the Orange, and that puts pressure on the outside shooters. I mean, these guys should, you know, at this point of their careers, for the most part, they've played big games already this year. They've beaten Duke up in South Bend. They've beaten Sparty and East Lansing, so they've got some signature wins. But they can still succumb to the pressure of knowing that Syracuse is going to force you to beat them from the outside. Maybe that's why the poor shooting percentage.
I think that's a great point, you know, and you guys know as well as I do, good shooting is as contagious as bad shooting is.
Yeah.
And when they missed their first 5 or 6 in a row there to start, and nothing was even close, then it tightens up a little bit, then you start pressing a little bit, and so on and so forth. And you're right, now you're on your home floor, and you're thinking, man, we usually make these shots in practice and against other opponents, and they just don't fall. Some are in and out. Some are just crap shots. But again, you know, the looks were there. It's not as if Notre Dame didn't have open looks from three-point land, but I think ultimately maybe they did overthink this a little bit. I thought Jaren Grant then at some point, you know, he's your All-American guard. Okay, if stuff's not going down from the outside, then maybe it's time to start looking elsewhere a little bit. And to consider guys that Jaren Grant didn't shoot, at least he wasn't scored because he'd been fouled on a couple attempts in the first half. He was actually not scored with a shot attempt until 2 minutes into the second half. That's not what you need from your main man, from your All-American guard in a situation like that when you're struggling offensively. He needs to find a way to get it going a little bit, take it to the rack, draw more fouls, take it to the hole, score inside, and maybe that loosens up that zone a little bit. But, Billy, I think you make a great point. I think it got in their heads a little bit, maybe overthought the whole thing about we have to make these shots. Therefore, they weren't able to. Maybe a little extra pressure. And it makes you worry a little bit moving forward, you know, as we get into the one-and-done stage of the season here coming up here. You know, you can't have bad games like that. You can't go 3 of 22 three-point shooting and expect to, because, you know, your ACC tournament's done, and then obviously moving forward, your NCAA tournament and your season is done if you shoot like that.
Todd, what is it about Mike Bray and his team faltering down the stretch? Is it something in his coaching philosophy? Does he run his starters too hard, too early? What is it about his teams that tend to falter this time of year?
Mo, I've always thought that, yeah. I mean, when you look at just look at the minutes played, keep this in mind. Now, these aren't exactly up-to-date stats, but Notre Dame is in the bottom 5% of the country in bench minutes played. Yet they're 14th in the nation in scoring margin, and something in that dynamic just doesn't jive, in my opinion. If you're blowing people out, doesn't that offer you the opportunity to get some guys in there? Get them acclimated to what's going on, get them in there, get them some minutes, and because at some point you're gonna need them. You know, you never know, foul trouble and whatnot can come about, and those types of things. So, And even Mike Bray, they didn't make the tournament last year, obviously after a miserable 15-17 season. But the year before that, they were looking pretty good. And then they got whacked by Iowa State in the first round of the NCAA tournament. And even Mike Bray admitted, he's like, I have to figure this out. Keep in mind, guys, the last 4 trips to the NCAA tournament for Notre Dame, they've been beaten by a number 10 seed 3 times and a number 11 seed the 4th and the other time. So he needs to figure out something, and I don't know. It just seems like the mindset changes. I don't know if it's within the players, the coaching staff, or what. But, boy, this was a really disappointing loss to Syracuse because, again, Notre Dame was an 8-point favorite in this game.
Right.
And to be that flat and to only score 60 points when you're averaging 80 a game, at home, it just, again, I hope it's just a hiccup and perhaps they can get the ship righted like they have so many times this year. But yeah, I think it's a good question. What's going on here? Because you just hope it's not history repeating itself, but it feels that way a little bit.
February 9th, 2003, Notre Dame beats number 4 ranked Pittsburgh, and the fans stormed the court at home. You had a very interesting take on this in your article of when it is acceptable and not acceptable to storm the court. What is acceptable for you, and what is completely not acceptable if you're storming the court as fans or students of a university?
I still kind of believe it's sort of that if we've been there and done that before. And I did. I wrote. It was kind of a tongue-in-cheek article, to be honest with you, that I wrote. Just talking about some of the funny things that go on in this. But kids are doing it all over the place, and it seems to get a little bit more aggressive every time. When a kid takes an elbow at a Kansas player, storming the court at Kansas State and those types of things. Now you have to worry. When do you take the fun out of this, and when does it become, more of a problem than a celebration? I guess that's the big thing. I guess it's a case-by-case basis, but at the same time, I'd hate to see the NCAA have to step in here and say we're going to, or conferences, I guess, would be a better example, where we're going to start fining you if you can't keep this under control. It's hard to say, but certainly, in a case like Maryland storming the court, they're a ranked team. Really, they were only a 5-point underdog to Wisconsin. Really, in my opinion, I thought they would beat Wisconsin, and they did. So, is that worthy of that kind of celebration? I didn't think so. But, what are you going to do? College kids are college kids. You guys were once young, right? Or maybe you're both still young.
No, we're old. I'm really old, Todd. But Big 12 Commissioner Bob Bowlesby publicly reprimanded Kansas State for failing to prevent Wildcat fans from pouring onto the court after the school's upset over Kansas. That
was a nightmare.
Yeah, and that goes back to what you said. That's what I said earlier this week on this show. Is that it just seems like there's one-upsmanship going on with some of these court stormings. Yeah, I get it. That's a big rivalry, K-State and Kansas. No different than Michigan State, or IU and Purdue. Or let's go to IU Kentucky in that big win in Bloomington a few years ago. That was a huge one. But it just seems like they're getting more and more violent, and kids are just doing more and more stupid things in an effort to, I don't know, outdo the other guy that was the last team to storm the court after their team's so-called big win?
Yeah, your one-upsmanship analogy, I think, is perfect. Yeah, it's just, okay, well, they did it, we're going to do it. Yeah, the Kansas State thing was absolute mayhem.
Nuts. Yeah.
People coming on the court, and they absolutely have on camera that kid just running up to the Kansas player, dropping an elbow there.
Mm-hmm.
And Mo mentioned the game I was at. It doesn't happen a lot at Notre Dame. As a matter of fact, if you remember this year when Notre Dame beat Duke, Jaron Grant, when they were getting ready to, kind of went to the student crowd and put his hand up and said, no, let's not do that, which I thought was a classy move on his part. But I remember very well the Torrin Francis thing, and I'm sitting on press row, and all of a sudden here they come, and it wasn't anything like the Kansas State fracas. But it gets a little bit on me. You're your computer, and there's a lot going on, and you're trying to protect your equipment and this and that, and it's all happening pretty fast, and that crowd swells in a big hurry. it gets a little bit ornery, and I can understand how somebody's going to get hurt, stampeded, whatever you want to say. I mean, if you would accidentally hit the deck and you're drunk enough or whatever the case may be to do it, you're going to be in trouble because nobody's going to be looking out for you at that point. So, at some point, I guess perhaps, unfortunately, these conference commissioners or whatever the case may be, the NCAA, they have to make a stand on this to be proactive because you know how bad it's going to look now with all the attention drawn to it. You don't want to wait till something tragic happens and then all of a sudden you start to put some stipulations in place and whatnot. But I think your point of one-upsmanship is probably the best way to describe this right now.
Yeah, and there's probably not going to be anything too drastic done about it until somebody gets hurt really, really badly. And then they'll go, oh yeah, maybe we should have had security lining the court to protect the field of play from those in the seats. But I guess that just remains to be seen. At Todd Burlage on Twitter, also Blue and Gold Illustrated reporter and contributes football stories for UND.com, Todd Burlage.
Todd, before we let you go, it seems like Miami should have stormed the court last night. Xavier Wraithen-May scores 30 points in the last 4 minutes and 39 seconds. Will we see something like that again anytime soon?
Reggie
How
Hayes.
about that? Was that crazy? Yeah, unbelievable. Yeah, as I look at this, I guess for the sake of the NCAA and whatnot, these conferences, I guess the regular season is winding down. You won't see these sort of episodes happen. These are home court episodes. So you won't see him in the conference tournament or obviously the NCAA tournament. So perhaps if they can sort of survive this way, but it is the season for court storming because the games are getting bigger and bigger and more important. But yeah, I mean it'll be interesting. I hope Notre Dame, they do get a little break now, and then they go to Louisville a week off here, and Louisville's struggling a little bit, but that's a game now Notre Dame needs to get more so than they did. Just 48 hours ago. So we'll have to wait and see. But I don't know. I don't know how the NCAA. My hunch is they will all overreact and start finding teams and extra security and this and that. And maybe that's the best course of action. Because like Billy said, it's one-upsmanship and it's getting a little bit out of control. So I guess I understand it, but at the same time, it's kind of all part of the college experience too.
All right, Burlage, we'll talk again soon. I used to joke with you on the BS Sports Show about you being in your parents' basement talking to us, and that's where you hang out and watch games and stuff. But in all reality, this new BS Sports Show with Mo Time, my co-host now at Mo Radio Show and at Billy Elvis, we're actually doing our show now from Mo's attic. So you're in your parents' basement. We're in Mo's attic. This is high dollar
Perfect.
stuff.
I'm in my own basement at this moment.
Oh, are you? Cool.
But I'm certainly I will return to my parents' basement and. Hey, anytime if you guys want me to drive in and come and harass you guys in person, I'm always able and willing.
It'd be fun. Hey, and we're at Wrigley Field Bar every Monday and Friday, so think about that too for some of your visits where we're not in an attic.
Better. Yeah, I used to live in that joint, so absolutely, I love that place.
Hey, what's the coolest thing you got in your man cave down in the Burlage basement?
You know what? I just actually built these shelves. I'm looking at them right now. These sort of these 9-pack foot-by-foot shelves. I have 4 of them up here, and I have all my Notre Dame memorabilia. I have all the old game programs. I actually have every home game program from the '88 championship season. You guys remember the old Parker and Brothers Pro Draft game with the little green football?
Yeah,
that's up there. I have a hat signed by Tony Rice. I have all kinds of crazy stuff down here.
That's awesome. All right, Burlage.
Man, yeah, all my old bottles. Oh my word, yeah. I'm gonna have to start poking through this stuff. Yeah, my old Ken Norton cowboy jersey, Darren Woodson, and so on. I'm sure you guys are about done with me by now.
We need to check out the Burlage man cave. That's for sure. Of course, I'm a non-Irish fan. I might puke. All right, Burlage. Have a great night. We'll talk again soon, buddy.
Appreciate the time, boys. Thank you.
You bet, man. At Todd Burlage on Twitter, contributor on Irish athletics and media differences, including UN football. The fan of Todd Burlage's work as well, and always to talk to. They in less than an hour, Purdue and Rutgers. Probably a track game for Matt Painter in the Boilers, but you never know. We know that IU struggled last night, and we talk next. And then don't forget at 8:15 we've got our pal Reggie Hayes from the News Sentinel on the man and the NFL Combine. A lot yet ahead on this Thursday edition of the BS.
Okay, so what do you have?
Ryan, what do you think?
Lollygag, it ain't for leaders. They're too busy making plays happen, answering the call, earning their big boy pants. Isn't it time to be the leader you were born to be? The playbook's right there, Captain. What's the call?
We'll have nachos, fried pickles, pretzels, buffalitos, honey barbecue wings, and waters all around.
Grab a seat. The game is on.
Buffalo Wild Wings. Wings, beer, sports.
Ugh, I hate these big ass prices.
Sounds like you could use some big ass savings.
I'd love some big ass savings.
Kmart Shop Your Way members save 30 cents a gallon.
30 cents a gallon? That's a big ass discount.
Big ass discount.
A really big ass discount.
Really big ass discount.
Honey, this solves your big ass problem.
Totally solves my big ass problem.
Dad, look at that big ass truck.
Big ass man.
Hello, big ass man.
Shop Your Way members get big gas savings. Save 30 cents a gallon when you spend $50 or more at Kmart.
Meet the fuel-efficient Ford Focus. Along with great handling, the Focus also comes with Girls Night Out and Girls Night In and road trips and the scenic route and swimming and weekly car washes and making connections and unexpected speed dating. Only Ford gives you EcoBoost fuel economy and a whole lot more. With so many ands, where will you end up? The fuel-efficient Ford Focus.
This is Gary Snyder from The Gary Snyder Show, and I have a couple of important questions for you. Do you need some extra cash, and do you have any scrap metal laying around? If you answered yes to either question, which we know you did after all, this is Indiana, then you need to give Clark's a call today, 260-356-8314. That's 260-356-8314. Clark's wants all of your scrap metal, broken down appliances, old cars, computer parts, copper, aluminum, and even your old cell phones. If it's scrap and if it's metal, Clark's wants it, and they will pay top dollar for it. Clark's is located at 100 Heightsfield Street in Huntington, and they are open weekdays from 8 to 4:30 p.m. Or just give them a ring, 260-356-8314. That's 260-356-8314. Clark's, they want all of your scrap metal.
Chapman's Brewing Company is Northeast Indiana's newest microbrewery. Located in Angola, Indiana, Chapman's is what it means to be local. Chapman's recently launched their American Ale cider that is a unique combination of malted barley, Cascade hops, and fresh apple juice that appeals to both beer drinkers and cider lovers alike. It is truly more than a beer and more than a cider. 3 sips and you'll understand why we love it too. Visit chapmansbrewing.com for a retailer nearest you.
It's the BS Sports Show.
You need to calm down. I mean, I'm not that excited about this show, and they pay me.
Yeah. Thank you very much for the time you spend with us. BS Sports Show. He's at Mo Radio Show, Mo Time. I'm at Billy Elvis at BS Sports The Fan. Feel free to give us a call if you got some thoughts on any and all of our topics. Going to segue to some more college basketball after talking to Todd Burlage about Notre Dame hoops. The number to call us is 347-324-5252, 347-324-5252, or you can text the show, 260-245-1898. That's 260-245-1898. Got Reggie Hayes of the News Sentinel lined up at 8:15. Between now and then, a little bit more on college basketball. Cavs playing tonight, and then they've got the Pacers tomorrow night at the Fieldhouse, right?
Oh yeah, hey, and, and big news for the Pacers. I don't think it'll come by them beating the Cavs tomorrow, but Paul George back practicing for the first full day.
Yeah, we're going to get Kristen Airy on as soon as we can. Having a big season ticket holder party tonight down there at the Fieldhouse or somewhere in Indianapolis with the Pacers and the high rollers, the ones that spend the big bucks on the season tickets.
Have you noticed how many parties we haven't been invited to this week?
All of them?
Yeah, every single one of them. Every single one of them.
We've got our own party tomorrow, though, Wrigley Field Bar and Grill, original weekend starter party, buddy.
That's right. I'm excited. One party I'm actually invited to.
All right. So with Purdue playing tonight against Rutgers, hopefully not a trap game for Matt Painter and the Boilers as the home stretch is upon them. But IU losing last night, big loss at Northwestern last night, dropped the Hoosiers to 4-6 in their last 10 games, struggling some. Also dropped Tom Crean's team to a number 9 seed in the latest bracketology. So very costly, the loss at this point in the season for the Hoosiers at Northwestern.
I don't think there's a chance that IU plays their way out of the tournament, but you never know. I mean,
you never know.
And I think that should IU not make the NCAA tournament, all the experts can say all they want, but I think that Tom Crean goes bye-bye should he not make the NCAA tournament.
Really?
Why wouldn't he? I mean, is his season a success? I mean, he did better than a lot expected him to, but is it a success?
Well, I don't know. It started out so tumultuous with his players, and then his leadership came into question with regard to that. You had all the transfers last year. You had all this uncertainty over who's going to be a big guy for the Hoosiers, and they really don't have one. And so you knew the cards were going to be stacked against them a little bit coming into the season. I think they overcame a lot of adversity. I think they've done well. I don't think this is the time of year you lose to Northwestern when you're favored to win the game. So that hurts. But overall, I think Tom Crean's done a pretty decent job with the players he has.
I mean, I think there's been a chance. But look, you've got to be worried about the players who got in trouble, as you said. But all the guys that transferred, a lot of guys, especially those that transferred to Butler.
Yeah.
And I think had he had lost James Blackman Jr., who decommitted for a while, that could have spelled the end for him there. I don't think that a lot who are in charge down there and some of the alumni are happy with Tom Crean. And if he finds a way to bow out of the NCAA tournament and not make it there, this could be a reason for them to say bye-bye.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, you always want to have the high hopes that you can get things regrouped. There are not a lot of people we talk to on a regular basis, whether it's Jeff Rabb, JohnsPeaks.com, whether it's Pete DePremio of the News Sentinel, whether it's Kyle Rowland of the Journal Gazette, any of the IU experts. They all say the same thing. Look, this was not going to be a season for a deep run for the Hoosiers anyway. They're just too they're going to be outsized by everybody they play, not just in the Big Ten, but around the country for that matter. And, they're going to have to live and die by the outside shot, and that's always easier said than done.
When you've got players getting in trouble a lot, Indiana, they were a school that was never in trouble much, and then Kelvin Sampson comes along and they go on probation, and now you've got players acting out, and a lot of guys with drinking issues. It's got to worry the IU, those in charge there.
Very much so, very much so. But when you think about the season, when you think about the fact that you got Wisconsin as the overwhelming favorite, and rightfully so, after their run last year, and Big Frank Kaminsky, they were the favorites for the Big Ten. So IU's hopes to win the Big Ten were far-fetched. Let's not leave out teams like Michigan State, Iowa, Ohio State, teams perceived to be better on paper than the Hoosiers.
Right, but here's the difference, though. Notice that those teams continue to reload every year.
Right.
When Tom Crean had his run with that group he had, a lot of guys leave early. I understand that, but he's not been able to reload or keep those guys when he has reloaded. But yet, Tom Izzo and Bo Ryan and Thad Matta, they keep reloading. Tom Crean has been unable to reload.
That's a very, very good point, and that should concern fans of the Hoosiers in general. That they have a couple of lottery picks a couple of years ago, and Cody Zeller and Victor Oladipo, a couple of lottery picks out of the Big Ten,
2 and 4,
and you don't parlay that into recruiting. You got James Blackman Jr., great pickup, but you didn't parlay having 2 lottery picks. You didn't reload after Zeller and Oladipo. You didn't see the writing on the wall.
The problem was that a lot of the guys, he had a great recruiting class coming in, and a lot of the guys either checked out or came for a year and transferred, and it hasn't materialized. But yet, look at Tom Izzo. Look how many guys that he's lost off those teams in the last couple of years. Yeah. When was the last time they won an NCAA championship? Was it 2000?
Yeah. It's been 2003, I think, wasn't it?
I thought it was 2000.
I don't know.
Cleaves,
it's been over a decade.
Thad Matta was able to parlay the success he had with Mike Conley Jr. and with Greg Oden into more, to the guys like Aaron Kraft and the cat from Bishop Lewis that went out over to Ohio State and left after his junior year.
Sean
Thomas. And Bo Ryan's continued to reload up there. And why can't Tom Crean do that?
Yeah, that's going to be the big question because that was his saving grace when you did have Cody Zeller and Victor Oladipo and everybody else on that team that was ranked number 1 for most of the season. His X's and O's came into question. Well, now not only do his X's and O's come into question, but now it's like you didn't follow up that team with good recruits and didn't keep them? Come on. So I can see where there would be unrest with the Hoosiers and the faithful.
And I think that the fact that he's, the Dwayne Wayne love affair, the fact that he coached Dwayne Wade and the Cody Zeller, Victor Oladipo that year, I think they're worn off. And I think it's time for him to produce. I think that's where Matt Painter gets lucky, though. And Butler the last few years and Notre Dame, they overshadow it so much. I think he's able to fly under the radar a little bit. I mean, maybe not to Purdue fans, but it seems like he's able to kind of, maybe get more of a pass than Tom Green does.
Interesting stuff. All right, we'll touch back upon this conversation in a little bit. We're going to get our next guest on the BS Sports Show. Feel free to hit us up on the Twitter. I'm at Billy Elvis. He's at Mo Radio Show, at BS Sports The Fan. You can call us on the BS Sports Show, which is 347-324-5252. That's 347-324-5252. Or you can text 260-245-1898. That's 245-1898. Keep in mind, tomorrow's show, and every Friday and Monday for that matter, the BS Sports Show out and about with our guests joining us at Wrigley Field Bar and Grill to start the weekend tomorrow and to start the week on Monday nights, 7 to 9, the BS Sports Show. Stick around. News Sentinel writer Reggie Hayes at Reggie Hayes 1 is next on the BS Sports Show.
Okay, so what do you have?
Ryan, what do you think?
Lollygag, it ain't for leaders. They're too busy making plays happen, answering the call, earning their big boy pants. Isn't it time to be the leader you were born to be? The playbook's right there, Captain. What's the call?
We'll have nachos, fried pickles, pretzels, buffalitos, honey barbecue wings, and waters all around.
Grab a seat. The game is on.
Buffalo Wild Wings. Wings, beer, sports.
Ugh, I hate these big-ass prices.
Sounds like you could use some big-ass savings.
I'd love some big-ass savings.
Kmart Shop Your Way members save 30 cents a gallon.
30 cents a gallon? That's a big-ass discount.
Big-ass discount.
A really big-ass discount.
Really big-ass discount.
Honey, this solves your big-ass problem.
Totally solves my big-ass problem.
Dad, look at that big-ass truck.
Big-ass man.
Hello, big-ass man.
Shop Your Way members get big gas savings. Save 30 cents a gallon when you spend $50 or more at Kmart.
Meet the fuel-efficient Ford Focus. Along with great handling, the Focus also comes with Girls Night Out and Girls Night In and road trips and the scenic route and swimming and weekly car washes and making connections and unexpected speed dating. Only Ford gives you EcoBoost fuel economy and a whole lot more. With so many ands, where will you end up? The fuel-efficient Ford Focus.
This is Gary Snyder from The Gary Snyder Show, and I have a couple of important questions for you. Do you need some extra cash, and do you have any scrap metal laying around? If you answered yes to either question, which we know you did after all, this is Indiana, then you need to give Clark's a call today, 260-356-8314. That's 260-356-8314. Clark's wants all of your scrap metal, broken down appliances, old cars, computer parts, copper, aluminum, and even your old cell phones. If it's scrap and if it's metal, Clark's wants it, and they will pay top dollar for it. Clark's is located at 100 Heightsfield Street in Huntington, and they are open weekdays from 8 to 4:30 p.m. Or just give them a ring, 260-356-8314. That's 260-356-8314. Clark's, they want all of your scrap metal.
Chapman's Brewing Company is Northeast Indiana's newest microbrewery. Located in Angola, Indiana, Chapman's is what it means to be local. Chapman's recently launched their American Ale Cider that is a unique combination of malted barley, Cascade hops, and fresh apple juice that appeals to both beer drinkers and cider lovers alike. It is truly more than a beer and more than a cider. 3 sips and you'll understand why we love it too. Visit chapmansbrewing.com for a retailer nearest you.
It's the BS Sports Show.
This man is hanging by a string. I think that he is a borderline psychotic at this point.
Welcome back. Thanks for tuning in. I'm at Billy Elvis, Mo Time at Mo Radio Show, and I now co-host this BS Sports Show. Weekdays from 7 to 9 every Monday and Friday at Wrigley Field Bar and Grill for the weekend starter party tomorrow. And just to have a great time with you on Mondays out at the Fort's Best Damn Sports Bar for 2.5 decades, Wrigley Field Bar and Grill. So hopefully we see you tomorrow and or Mondays with this show live at Wrigley Field from 7 to 9. Friend of the BS Sports Show, good buddy, good pal, someone as old as me, maybe older, at Reggie Hayes 1 on the Twitterverse. News Sentinel writer extraordinaire. Reggie, thanks for joining us on the newly revamped show tonight, buddy.
Hey, you're welcome, man. Maybe older. Yes, maybe older.
Reggie, I know amongst many hats you wear for the News Sentinel, one of them is covering the Mad Ants. Seems a little odd, the situation with the former Hoosier, and why Will Sheehy has basically been told to sit down and take a break. What's the storyline there, buddy?
Well, he wasn't really told to sit down. He chose to. He went to the team and told them that he wasn't happy with his playing time. He'd only played 3 or 4 minutes in the last 2 games. Really, since Trey McKinney-Jones came back and Marcus Simmons came off injury, the minutes have reduced for Sheehy. He wasn't too happy, and from my understanding, he just thought, okay, I don't like how this is going. I don't want to stay here if I'm not playing, that sort of thing. And the Mad Ants wanted him to stick around. They feel like he could have a future as a key player with the team, even this year, even though he wasn't playing as many minutes. But I think he's kind of impatient, wanted to be on the floor more than he was, and said he was going to take off. So now they're actually trying to figure out if there's somebody out there interested in the trade and maybe that sort of thing. But right now he's still on the Mad Ants roster, but he's on the inactive list. And what that means, in a nutshell, he left town. So he's not on the team anymore, but he's technically still on the roster as an inactive player.
If the Mad Ants felt like he could be a big part in the future, why couldn't they find a spot for him now? Obviously, Sheehy, a great defender, brings a lot of intensity. Why couldn't the Mad Ants find a spot for him now if they thought he would be a big piece of their puzzle going forward?
Well, basically, you've got his position, more or less, is where Andre Emmett is, where Trey McKinney-Jones plays, Marcus Simmons coming off there. Those guys are, especially Emmett and McKinney-Jones, are better players. They're going to play more minutes. I think the bottom line is if Sheehy needs to develop as far as some of his offensive skills, ball handling, and some of his shooting skills needed improvement, who's to say that he wouldn't have played more minutes if he stuck around? If you've watched this team over the course of the last couple years with Connor Henry as coach, there'll be times when guys play 4 or 5 minutes a game. Then, like 2 games later, they're playing 20 minutes. He tends to go with players that he feels are being effective, and if they get in the game and they're effective, he'll let them play a little bit longer. And I just think Sheehy'd only been here for 8 games. He played a lot right away, and maybe that gave him a sense of, okay, I'm going to play all the time. And then when McKinney-Jones came back, who was just a dynamic player, and he was a great player for him last year in the championship team, once he got back, those minutes weren't as readily available. And to me, I think he just got impatient and wanted to, maybe made a rash decision, but at any rate, he's no longer with the team. So.
You know what? That's too bad. I got to meet him. He was in the BS Sports Show studio, and I thought he was a nice guy. That kind of bothers me about Will Sheehy a little bit, that he's not willing to be a team player and take a back seat on minutes. As you point out, Andre Emmett has been an MVP caliber type player for the Mad Ants this year, and bringing back Trey McKinney-Jones, who was very, very, very key in the run for the D-League title last year, obviously is deserving of minutes too. Bothers me that Will Sheehy can't say, hey, you know what, I'll take a back seat for a little while, see how it all develops, see if Trey McKinney doesn't get called up somewhere else or Andre Emmett doesn't get called up and then I'm needed all of a sudden. Doesn't sound like he's got a great team player type attitude at this point.
Well, I think he's just being really short-sighted, and without having talked to Will, and I reached out to his agent to see if I could get a conversation with him, but they have not responded.
without talking to him, I can't, speak to where his mind is with that. I do think that when you're coming out of college where you're a major star, you're a big-time player, a lot of people know you, a lot of adulation with everyone watching you play, and then you get to be a rookie in pro basketball, and it's harsh reality pretty quick, because if you aren't a guy who's drafted in the NBA and you're solid as that first season, you can be in a situation like Will Sheehy where you play overseas, but that doesn't work out, so you come to the D-League and you got to scratch and claw a little bit. And you really have to be willing to kind of take your ego down a notch. I'm not accusing Sheehy of having an overblown ego, but I'm just saying in general, players who have been big-time players at the college level in the Big Ten or wherever, the Big 12 or whatever it might be, you come to this level and you get humbled because you're playing against men. You're playing against guys. Andre Emmett's 32 years old and is just an incredible professional basketball player. People may not realize how good he is. And you're playing against guys like that with that kind of experience. And, C.J. Fair is another rookie, played for Syracuse, not really that different as far as experience goes with Will Sheehy. And C.J. taking the role that was lesser. There were times he was playing 7 or 8 minutes a game, and now he's basically the sixth man. He's probably scoring about 14, 15 points a game over the last 12, 15 games, and he's found his role. But he had to wait and he had to work to get in that role, and you kind of got to be patient. And young guys aren't always patient.
Talking with Reggie Hayes from the News Sentinel, among covering the Mad Ants, you also cover the Colts in the NFL. Adrian Peterson's father today said that one of the 3 teams that he's heard has expressed interest in his son are the Indianapolis Colts. Is this AP's father just kind of speaking out of the school here, or is there some reality to the fact that the Colts could make some sort of move or work to sign Adrian Peterson should he be let go by the Minnesota Vikings?
Yeah, you know what? The Colts are historically, since this, I guess I shouldn't say historically, it's not, we're not going back too far, since the last 3 years that Ryan Grigson has been the GM, he's been willing to look at players that maybe we would think, okay, they wouldn't take a look at him because he might have baggage or there might be some issues. I mean, when Ray Rice was ruled eligible to sign, the Colts took a look at the situation. Now, they didn't decide that they wanted to bring Ray Rice in, but they did look at it. So I have no doubt that Ryan Grigson will look into Adrian Peterson, or has looked into it, I should say. Whether that means that they would make the move for him, given the opportunity, I'm not sure that's the case. But I do think that it would be legitimate that they would look at it, because I think they're going to look at every possible option, because they whiffed on Trent Richardson, and they have to get another running back in there who's going to be reliable. So they're going to look at all the options. So, yeah, I'm not surprised if they're looking at him. Whether or not they would make the next step, that we're probably a little bit away from that right now.
At Reggie Hayes 1 on Twitter, News Sentinel writer Reggie Hayes, our guest, talked a little Mad Ants and the departure of Will Sheehy of his own accord from the Mad Ants, and a little bit about Adrian Peterson and his potential availability. But let's talk about some of the things we do know about the Colts that have happened of late, Reg, we haven't talked to you about. Number one, today announced Matt Hasselbeck will be back as the clipboard holder who doesn't get his uniform dirty behind Andrew Luck again, which is a great gig. It's a really great gig. Ricky Jean-Francois got his walking papers. What do you think about the Colts' moves thus far?
Well, I was kind of surprised that Ricky was not re-signed, because I thought he was fairly effective. He wasn't a superstar player for him, but he did a nice job, I thought, overall. But he's costly salary issue, and they're clearing some space to make moves. And I see he signed with Washington, so he wasn't unemployed for very long, or he's reached a deal with them, I should say. So he wasn't unemployed very long. As far as Hasselbeck goes, I'm just glad to see a guy that's as bald as me playing for him.
That's good.
Is there a chance that the Colts make a run at a big-time frontline free agent? Do the Colts take a look or have any shot at signing a guy like Ndamukong Suh, or do they hold back with all the contracts they're going to have coming up with Dwayne Allen and with Andrew Luck and with T.Y. Hilton? What do the Colts do when it comes to a guy like Ndamukong Suh?
I think they look at him, because if you look at at the Colts and where their failings are. They're a very good team. They're not on that top level, and the reason they're not on that top level is the trenches. It's the offensive line and defensive line, and I think you've got to look at trying to find somebody to get into that defensive line that brings effective play and an edge. They need a little bit of edge. They need some feistiness there, and I would say Ndamukong Suh would fill that role.
Yes, it would.
I think he made Billy sad right now. He's got tears in his eyes. He wants to see him leave his beloved Detroit Lions.
Well, I mean, I know reality, and reality is that the Lions have a lot of high-priced players right now, and for Ndamukong Suh to stay in Detroit, number one, they're going to have to do a heck of a job balancing that budget with regard to the salary cap. Maybe even renegotiate a player or two. We already saw Reggie Bush was a casualty, saving them $1.7 million or whatever on the cap. But you know, if he's going to take the money and run, the Colts are one of those teams that do have some cap space.
They do, and Mo makes a good point that the Colts have guys coming up contract-wise that they're going to have to sign, not this season or this off season, but coming up. Obviously, Andrew Luck. T.Y. Hilton, he mentioned Dwayne Allen, Kobe Fleener is also in that class. Yeah. So you've got guys that are coming up that you have to decide. Obviously, you're going to pay Andrew Luck the money. You're going to pay T.Y. Hilton as pretty highly as well. And then you've got some decisions to make. Maybe you only get Dwayne Allen or Kobe Fleener, not both, that sort of thing. And so there is a long-term picture that you have to decide, do we want to spend this kind of money on Sue, knowing the money we're going to need for some of these offensive guys that are coming up with their contracts in a year.
One more question for you, Reggie, before we got to let you get going. And thank you very much for your time, buddy. Hopefully you'll be a frequent contributor with us on this BS Sports Show. Maybe even stop out to one of our live shows at Wrigley Field Bar and Grill Mondays and Fridays. That'd be cool.
Oh, yeah, that'd be great.
But one more question for you. Ronda Rousey, would you? Would you?
Interesting question that I'm not going to answer, but I will tell you this. Ronda Rousey's sister, Maria Burns Ortiz, was a sports writer at the News Sentinel a few years ago. This was before Ronda became Ronda, the big-time superstar. This was several years back, but Maria was working here, and she would tell me about her sister who was in the fight game and trying to make a name for herself, and so it's always been I've kind of watched her career just because I knew her name before everyone else did back in the day, because Maria was talking about her, and so it's kind of funny how small world, but she's definitely become a big time star, no question.
You know, you sure did skirt that question, Mr. Reggie Hayes. Spoken like a true married man, a happily married man.
Hey, Billy, you said I was older than you, possibly wiser.
Definitely
well
wiser.
Well played, sir. Well
Definitely
played.
Wiser. All right, Reg, we'll talk again soon, man. Keep up the great
work.
All right,
good talking with you.
Take care.
All right, I appreciate it, guys.
At Reggie Hayes 1 on the Twitterverse, or pick up a newspaper and read the work of Reggie Hayes on the Mad Ants and also on the Colts, amongst other things that Reggie Hayes does for the News Sentinel. Well, that's cool. Small world. Ronda Rousey's sister worked for the News Sentinel.
How quickly are you Googling that name to see what she
We're
looks
going to
like?
find her. We're going to find her. We're going to get her on the air.
I can't wait to see what she looks like. I'm very intrigued right now.
All right, stick around. We got less than a half hour remaining of this Thursday edition of the BS Sports Show. He's at Mo Radio Show, Mo Time, co-host with me, at Billy Elvis, at BS Sports The Fan.
Okay, so what do you have?
Ryan, what do you think?
Lollygag, it ain't for leaders. They're too busy making plays happen, answering the call, earning their big boy pants. Isn't it time to be the leader you were born to be? The playbook's right there, Captain. What's the call?
We'll have nachos, fried pickles, pretzels, buffalitos, honey barbecue wings, and waters all around.
Grab a seat. The game is on.
Buffalo Wild Wings. Wings, beer, sports.
Ugh, I hate these big ass prices.
Sounds like you could use some big ass savings.
I'd love some big ass savings.
Kmart Shop Your Way members save 30 cents a gallon.
30 cents a gallon? That's a big-ass discount.
Big-ass discount.
A really big-ass discount.
Really big ass discount.
Honey, this solves your big-ass problem.
Totally solves my big ass problem.
Dad, look at that big ass truck.
And big ass man.
Hello, big ass man.
Shop Your Way members get big-ass savings. Save 30 cents a gallon when you spend $50 or more at Kmart.
Meet the fuel-efficient Ford Focus. Along with great handling, the Focus also comes with Girls Night Out and Girls Night In and road trips and the scenic route and swimming and weekly car washes and making connections and unexpected speed dating. Only Ford gives you EcoBoost fuel economy and a whole lot more. With so many ands, where will you end up? The fuel-efficient Ford Focus.
This is Gary Snyder from The Gary Snyder Show, and I have a couple of important questions for you. Do you need some extra cash, and do you have any scrap metal laying around? If you answered yes to either question, which we know you did after all, this is Indiana, then you need to give Clark's a call today, 260-356-8314. That's 260-356-8314. Clark's wants all of your scrap metal, broken down appliances, old cars, computer parts, copper, aluminum, and even your old cell phones. If it's scrap and if it's metal, Clark's wants it, and they will pay top dollar for it. Clark's is located at 100 Heightsfield Street in Huntington, and they are open weekdays from 8 to 4:30 p.m. Or just give them a ring, 260-356-8314. That's 260-356-8314. Clark's, they want all of your scrap metal.
Chapman's Brewing Company is Northeast Indiana's newest microbrewery. Located in Angola, Indiana, Chapman's is what it means to be local. Chapman's recently launched their American Ale Cider that is a unique combination of malted barley, Cascade hops, and fresh apple juice that appeals to both beer drinkers and cider lovers alike. It is truly more than a beer and more than a cider. 3 sips and you'll understand why we love it too. Visit chapmansbrewing.com for a retailer nearest you.
The BS Sports Show.
You need to calm down. I mean, I'm not that excited about this show, and they pay me.
And the home stretch of a Thursday edition of the BS Sports Show. Thanks for spending some time with us. I'm at Billy Elvis. He's at Mo Radio Show, at BS Sports Show on Twitter. There's the BS Sports Show Facebook page. Billy Elvis and Mo Time, Mo Radio Show. Both have Facebook pages as well, so find us that way. Find us out and about. Every Friday and Monday, we're live at Wrigley Field Bar and Grill. The weekend starter party tomorrow with a $92 VIP party up for grabs, a halter pool table gift certificate, and more giveaways, plus mantra karaoke with Jake, and the all-you-can-eat wing and fish buffet with tons of sides, $8.50 adults, $4 for kids. Best dinner deal anywhere. Come on out and hang with us while we do the show live at Wrigley tomorrow from 7 to 9, and then again every Monday from 7 to 9 at the Fort's Best Damn Sports Bar for 25 years. Another thing you and I are doing, he's been a guest on this show twice this week already, Andrew Cobra Rhodes, 17-time World Arm Wrestling champ, star of AMC's Game of Arms, and also part of the ESPN World Arm Wrestling League, which is having an event this Saturday at Break and Run, Goshen Road, Gateway Plaza, starting at about 2 o'clock. Some of the world's best arm wrestlers in action on Saturday. There's some open categories. If you feel you're a pretty good arm wrestler, come on out for some prize money and get in on the World Arm Wrestling League. And all the info can be found on the BS Sports Show, Facebook and Twitter, at Billy Elvis, at Mo Radio Show, with regard to the World Arm Wrestling League tournament Saturday afternoon, starting at 2, Break and Run, Gateway Plaza here in Fort Wayne. Before we go any further, did you see this? Today in Sun City, Arizona, 2 llamas, reportedly therapy llamas. What are therapy llamas, first off? Hold that thought. 2 therapy llamas that escaped while visiting an assisted living facility, maybe that explains the therapy, ran wild in the streets of suburban Phoenix in a retirement community. And when local news choppers picked up attempts by authorities and bystanders to capture the elusive creatures, the internet erupted. Naturally, the local sports teams tried to lay claim to these instant star athletes. Arizona Cardinals tweeted out, the hashtag AZ Cardinals have agreed to 1-year deals with the hashtag Llamas on the Loose. Each llama will earn 2,340 pounds of hay. That comes from Steve Keim and says he does it again. Interesting. The Reno Aces out there in Arizona says, Dear at D-backs, any chance we can get one of those llamas as a pinch runner this year? And the Diamondbacks themselves answered the Aces, a minor league team, AAA team, like they need any more seasoning in the minors. They're major league ready, says the AZ D-backs about the llamas on the loose in the Phoenix area. Isn't that crazy? I didn't know. Well, llamas are probably not indigenous to the desert region, but apparently there's llamas that help out with assisted living. What do llamas do? What do they do?
Llamas don't make you smile?
Well, is that what it's about? Is that making the old people happy to see llamas? I'm not going to be happy if I see a llama crap on my front lawn at the assisted living home.
Didn't Michael Jackson have a affinity for llamas? I mean,
yeah, he did, and we all know how Michael turned out. He was a very normal individual.
I don't know. Maybe that's what it is. They have therapy dogs. People, they come in and let the old folks pet them. Maybe that's what therapy llamas do.
I don't know.
I'm looking right now to see what the point of therapy llamas is.
Yeah, that's news to me. You know, you learn something every day.
Therapy llamas bring smiles to the sick and elderly. They dress them up in costumes.
I think llamas are ugly beasts.
Everything's cute in a costume, though.
No. Llamas are ugly beasts. They're not pretty animals.
Llama love is what it's called a lot of times. Therapy llamas are llama loves.
Don't they spit like camels do? I know camels spit.
I don't know. It looks like also that the therapists use them to help people beat their intimacy issues.
What?
Yeah.
That's freaky, dude.
It's getting a little crazy.
Yeah.
It's getting a little crazy.
Sorry, I just saw that tweet and I had to delve into the escaped llamas in Phoenix story. As if there's not enough going on with Cactus League baseball. Now we're getting llama stories on the loose in Phoenix.
How exciting is spring training? I mean, let's be honest. Llamas, I take llamas all day long.
I love spring. That was one of my favorite things. No, wait a minute. I know I'm a baseball geek. I'm one of the last remaining baseball fans that doesn't think it's a boring sport, that likes a pitcher's duel. But I enjoyed it out there when I was out in Phoenix. I mean, think about it, man. That's some of the most beautiful weather in the country is in Phoenix in March. It's like perfect, 80 degrees, not a cloud in the sky. Lay back on the lawn, watch the Cubs play the Mariners or whatever game you want to catch out there in Cactus League play. It's fun, man. It's not about real baseball. It's about relaxing at the park in beautiful weather in March. We don't have beautiful weather in March in this part of the world.
No, but it just stresses me out because I can actually look towards the season maybe with hope as a Cubs fan, and then my hopes are quickly dashed by May. So I think maybe it's more stressful because I'm like, wow, we could be good in 10 years if this keeps up.
It's funny that you say that because the Cubs fans are actually rooting for their team to win these Cactus League games out there in Arizona.
Oh, I've been there.
A win's a win, baby, for Cubs fans.
You're right. It's beautiful weather, and I don't know. Baseball, they're making changes to hopefully bring fans like me back who they've lost.
Yeah. Well, they haven't lost me, but I'm old school. We've made that clear.
Your team wins.
That too. I got to admit, there was some lost years for the Tigers where I didn't pay as close attention as I have these last 4 years when they've won the AL Central every year.
So we're talking about baseball. I'm sure it made you happy today to see that Max Scherzer should be even better this year as he's developed a cutter now as well.
Yeah. Max has added a pitch now that he's with a new team. I'm happy about that.
Who would you rather see him go by this year? Would you rather kept Max Scherzer and said goodbye to Justin Verlander, or do you want to keep Verlander because maybe he gets back to his form and he has Kate Upton?
Kate Upton, let's just throw that out of the equation right now because he wins just on that alone.
Right.
But I'm glad they kept Verlander. I think Verlander's got some good pitching left in him. I like Max a lot. I don't think he's the greatest pitcher. I think Price and Verlander are better pitchers, and I think Verlander will get it back. I think he'll be an ace again this year. Let's put it that way.
I think David Price winds up being the ace of that staff. If Detroit doesn't pay him, who do you want to keep at the end of this year? Justin Verlander or David Price?
Good question. Probably Price.
I figured.
Probably Price.
Is it exciting for you right now? Do you look at baseball? Because you lost a lot of players off of your team this year, which was a good team. Is it harder to be excited because you didn't really reload like some of the teams did? You know, the Padres really reloaded. The Dodgers made a few moves here and there to try to get better. The Red Sox have made some moves. Do you look at it with as much anticipation as you did last year? Because you lost some good pieces.
We lost some good pieces. but I look at it and I say, maybe they're going to put some stock on some of the AAA guys. They did a bit of a youth movement. I'm more upset that they've lost a couple of their starters, Porcello, Scherzer. Those are big losses, but you'll have Anibal Sanchez back all year. You got Price and Verlander. Hopefully Verlander can get back to anywhere near, Verlander-type pitching. And maybe there's that youngster at AAA that we don't know about because Smiley was doing some of that work, and Porcello had been doing some of that work. So give a AAA guy that's unknown to the majors a chance to prove he's part of that rotation. I like as much as I love Torrey Hunter, him going away doesn't upset me a whole lot. I think Yoenis Cespedes is a great young Cuban star, and he's going to add some pop to that lineup that Torrey Hunter had provided, but he was going to start to decline if he hadn't already at his age. And I'm okay. I'm okay. And I still think there's moves that can be made based on what they see in Florida, as the Tigers are a grapefruit league team.
Well, you look at your team, though, two of your biggest stars and your best hitters are guys who are getting older and who've had to battle injuries. You've got Miguel Cabrera, who's possibly one of the best hitters of this modern era, and Victor Martinez, who has played a huge role. And you've got guys now who are starting to hit that downside of their career or can't stay healthy. I mean, you're a couple of injuries away from being the Cubs.
Very much so. I would like to think these guys, because of their experience, because of them not getting a World Series victory, they know their clocks are ticking. Miguel knows his clock is ticking. So does Verlander. So does anybody else that's over 30 in Major League Baseball. There's a bit of a do-or-die mentality with regard to a team like the Detroit Tigers, 4 straight AL Centrals, but no World Series wins. We'll see. Miggy seems to be heading into spring training, ready to go. Victor Martinez won't miss too much if he misses any. And Verlander should be healthier to start this season than he was last year coming off surgery. So I'm excited about the prospect. I know the division is tougher this year, and now you got the Royals there, and the White Sox are better, and the Indians will be better with Tito Francona, a great manager. And I don't know how much the Twins got better, but who knows? They can't be any worse than they were a year ago. But still, it's a tough division, and the Tigers are going to have a tough time winning. But they've got experience. I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful some youngsters are going to step in. I'm hopeful the bullpen is better than last year. I don't know how the bullpen could be worse than it was a year ago. Let's put it that way.
Before we go to break, take your team out of it. Which story are you looking forward to most as baseball gets underway? Looking to see the story of Alex Rodriguez. Can Clayton Kershaw dominate like he did last year? Or do you look at one of these teams that has tried to get better in the offseason with the Cubs and Joe Madden, or all the moves that the Padres have done? Which story kind of most interesting as the baseball gets underway?
Well, I don't like the Alex Rodriguez story. I don't like the dark side of baseball story. He's the dark side of baseball. What I do like about it is he's going to help bring the Yankees down. He's going to help the Yankees not be competitive by being.
Yeah, but aren't you kind of
albatross.
curious how the Yankees fans respond to him and what it's like as he comes to his first
his
first pitch?
It's going to be brutal for him, and that's a good thing if you don't like the Yankees.
I know, but I'm curious. I mean, that's the one thing that baseball has right now that I'm willing to tune in for early on.
Yeah. I tell you what I'm really excited about, not just because they're the parent club of the Tin Caps, but the Padres were as active as anybody. They've chosen to be a contender. I want to see how the Padres do. I want to see how the Cubs do. I want to see how they do with Joe Madden and some of the moves that they made, including Lester, adding Lester to the rotation. And I definitely want to see how the Washington Nationals do. They got a pitching rotation with a couple of former Tigers that I really like, Doug Fister and now Max Scherzer. That's a stellar rotation. That's the best rotation in baseball on paper in my mind right now.
And if they go in the tank early, who moves? You got Strasburg, you got Zimmerman, you got quite a pitching staff there.
It's a good question. I could talk baseball with you all night. Let's get a break in though, dude, and do one last segment on this Thursday night edition of the BS Sports Show. Mo Time at Mo Radio Show. I'm at Billy Elvis at BS Sports The Fan. We'll be back in just a couple minutes for the final segment of a Thursday edition of the BS Sports Show.
Okay, so what do you have?
Ryan, what do you think?
Lollygag, it ain't for leaders. They're too busy making plays happen, answering the call, earning their big boy pants. Isn't it time to be the leader you were born to be? The playbook's right there, Captain. What's the call?
We'll have nachos, fried pickles, pretzels, buffalitos, honey barbecue wings, and waters all around.
Grab a seat. The game is on.
Buffalo Wild Wings. Wings, beer, sports.
Ugh, I hate these big-ass prices.
Sounds like you could use some big-ass savings.
I'd love some big-ass savings.
Kmart Shop Your Way members save 30 cents a gallon.
30 cents a gallon? That's a big-ass discount.
Big-ass discount.
A really big-ass discount.
Really big-ass discount.
Honey, this solves your big-ass problem.
Totally solves my big-ass problem.
Dad, look at that big-ass truck.
Big-ass man.
Hello, big-ass man.
Shop Your Way members get big gas savings. Save 30 cents a gallon when you spend $50 or more at Kmart.
Meet the fuel-efficient Ford Focus. Along with great handling, the Focus also comes with Girls' Night Out and Girls' Night In and road trips and the scenic route and swimming and weekly car washes and making connections and unexpected speed dating. Only Ford gives you EcoBoost fuel economy and a whole lot more. With so many ands, where will you end up? The fuel-efficient Ford Focus.
This is Gary Snyder from The Gary Snyder Show, and I have a couple of important questions for you. Do you need some extra cash, and do you have any scrap metal laying around? If you answered yes to either question, which we know you did after all, this is Indiana, then you need to give Clark's a call today, 260-356-8314. That's 260-356-8314. Clark's wants all of your scrap metal, broken down appliances, old cars, computer parts, copper, aluminum, and even your old cell phones. If it's scrap and if it's metal, Clark's wants it, and they will pay top dollar for it. Clark's is located at 100 Heightsfield Street in Huntington, and they are open weekdays from 8 to 4:30 p.m. Or just give them a ring, 260-356-8314. That's 260-356-8314. Clark's, they want all of your scrap metal.
Chapman's Brewing Company is Northeast Indiana's newest microbrewery. Located in Angola, Indiana, Chapman's is what it means to be local. Chapman's recently launched their American Ale Cider that is a unique combination of malted barley, Cascade hops, and fresh apple juice that appeals to both beer drinkers and cider lovers alike. It is truly more than a beer and more than a cider. 3 sips and you'll understand why we love it too. Visit chapmansbrewing.com for a retailer nearest you.
More than just a show. It's life itself. It is everything.
It's the BS Sports Show.
Well, we've got a little time left with you on this Thursday night. Keeping an eye on live scores. Mo and I were talking about the positives and negatives of doing a show from 7 to 9 p.m. weeknights. One of them for me is drinking coffee up until 7 p.m., Mo, that's for sure. At Mo Radio Show on Twitter, at Billy Elvis, at BS Sports The Fan. But one of the cool things is seeing games develop. And got a potential NBA Finals matchup tonight with the Golden State Warriors and the Cavaliers tangling in the mistake by the lake known as Cleveland. So, You're talking about a battle of the top 2 guys, the front runners, if you will, for league MVP there in Steph Curry and LeBron James.
I think you've got to factor Russell Westbrook into that too now. But yeah, you're right. Curry gives the edge a little bit now to me over a lot of the other guys because the guy can pass the ball. He can take you off the dribble at times. He can shoot the 3 better than Westbrook or Harden. But LeBron's still the king. I mean, at the end of the day, LeBron's still the king.
Yeah. And that's what, every year LeBron James is a candidate for MVP. Right. That's just a fact. He's the world's best player, so he's always going to be in the hunt for MVP and the talk of MVP, especially now that the Cavs are turning it around and playing better basketball together, getting some moves made to help put a better team around LBJ. But I'm with you. I think Harden gets a vote or two. I think Westbrook gets a vote or two. I think it's Steph Curry's to lose at this point in the year. But LeBron, he very well could finish second in the voting, depending on how the Cavs finish up and how this season winds down for them in the Eastern Conference.
I think people, though, they want to break from LeBron, so they're looking for somebody new this year. They gave it to KD last year.
Yeah.
But Curry hasn't had to deal with really many injuries, especially to his other key teammates. Like, Harden's had to play without Dwight Howard a bunch this year. Where Russell Westbrook's played without Kevin Durant a lot this year. And look at an outside chance, depending on how the Bulls finish and where, if Jimmy Butler can get back to that production he's had over the last couple of years, especially earlier this year, you could see a dark horse for a guy like Jimmy Butler, depending on what the Bulls do.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, the front runners for MVP have all had team turmoil of varying degrees, whether it's Westbrook, whether it's Harden, or whether it's LeBron. And Steph Curry really hasn't. They've come out of the gates with guns blazing, and they've been solid ever since. They lose the one game doesn't play, which happened to be at the Field House in Indianapolis on Sunday, but nevertheless keeping that roll going. And now you're seeing Atlanta come down to earth a little bit of late, but Golden State staying strong, staying tough. And are they still up on the Cavs in Cleveland right now?
LeBron just made a great drive to the hoop, and they're up 39-37 in the second quarter. Which is really cool if you haven't watched the game on TNT on their overtime online, where you can watch 4 cameras at once, or pick the player you want to watch and the camera's focused on them. It's a really cool experience. But 39-37 so far, but it's been everything you've wanted. I mean, each team's got a little bit of a lead here and there, but LeBron just amazes me at times. And you're right. He's look at where we were 2 months ago.
Yeah.
We're talking about their coach being fired. Kevin Love and LeBron weren't getting along, and who knows how well they are now. And there was no bench, and now they've been one of the hottest teams in basketball.
Yeah, there's no question about it. No, I think people kind of thought that they would get it together. They had to make a few moves to get it going, to get some cohesiveness. And even if you do have the world's best player, the planet's best player, a guy that could very well end up being the best player of all time, I don't know if we want to do that conversation with 4 minutes to go in the show. But point being, you still need to play as a team to win games in this league. LeBron can't do it by himself.
No, and he's proven that. His first stint in Cleveland, he couldn't do it by himself. He went to Miami. They made some moves and got some guys around him. The bench is really important on teams that LeBron's on. You've got to have role players that can come off the bench and give LeBron a rest. If he can't come off the court, especially now, after you add another 3+ seasons, just adding up his playoff experience, you've got to be able to have role players who can come up and keep the score close or build on the lead when LeBron's on the bench.
Well, don't look now, but next up for the Cavs is a game at the Field House tomorrow night against the Pacers. Paul George practiced today. Paul George is getting close to getting back in the lineup for the Pacers as they hover right around that 8th seed in the Eastern Conference.
Yeah, I like it. I like the fact I said the other night that I like the fact that he's coming back this year. Let's get all those all that worry and all the head games out of him this year. That way he's ready to go at the start of the season next year. Because getting hit in the NBA, especially when you're a guy who's had a leg injury and you're a guard who makes your money off of getting to the basket, I think it's good that he tries to play this year. And I like the fact that, unlike Derrick Rose from a few years back, he seems willing, determined that as soon as they say he can play, he's going to play. He's not, hey, we'll wait and see. As soon as they clear him, he's ready to get on the court.
Well, we were trying to get Chris Denary from Fox Sports Indiana on the line with us today, being that Paul George practiced with the team and talked to reporters today, being that they got the game against LeBron and the Cavs tomorrow night. But our thoughts that he may have been preoccupied are true, because he texted me and says, hey, we had a Pacers season ticket sales event tonight downtown, just finished. Sorry I couldn't be a part of your show. Fox Sports Indiana Pacers play-by-play man Chris Denary, at Chris Denary on Twitter. Good dude, but I can see why we miss out on Chris Denary when there's a party going on.
Yeah, one of the nicest guys probably in all of sports.
Oh, he is great.
Super nice, and does a lot of college basketball stuff, does the WNBA as well. Yeah, Big Ten Network. It'll be interesting tomorrow, because you think about this week, they had a bad loss to the Thunder the other night on the road. If you could knock off Golden State and Cleveland in the same week, that's got to give your team a lot of confidence, especially with Paul George practicing with you now and prepared to come back. That's got to give you a lot of confidence if you can knock off Cleveland now, which you haven't been able to do this year so far.
Yeah, and I'm all for those guys. I know there's differing opinions on should the Colts, I'm sorry, wrong sport. Should the Pacers tank it? Should the Pacers just check out and get a lottery ball or two in the upcoming NBA draft? See, I'm not buying that. I think these young dudes, the guys they want to see, the Solomon Hills, the C.J. Mileses, everybody else that's getting all this extra playing time
Rodney
and experience. Yeah, Rodney Stuckey. You're deepening your bench. You're getting guys. You're forcing George Hill to step up and do a little bit more. No Lance, no Paul George. Roy Hibbert started the season as the only starter from a year ago to start the season for the first few weeks, and he had to step up and figure some things out, and did. So there's been some positives with this lost season without Paul George.
Well, and you could get some of these guys some playoff experience. A lot of these guys don't have any. Rodney Stuckey coming from the Pistons.
Yeah.
Solomon Hill didn't play in the playoffs. You got guys who can get some good minutes getting playoff experience. I agree with you. I was on the fence about it, but I think that they should make a push for that A seed if they can get it.
All right, we're going to wrap it up. Thank you very much for tuning in. We'll be out at Wrigley Field Bar and Grill tomorrow from 7 to 9 live, part of the original weekend starter party from 6:30 to 8:30. Big prizes, big fun, and we hope to see you out there tomorrow to wrap up the first week of the brand new BS Sports Show. He's at Mo Radio Show. I'm at Billy Elvis at BS Sports The Fan, and we're also on Facebook.